Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Ashtasati. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Ashtasati. Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Subhadra Mai Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Subhadra Mai Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev. Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev. Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev. Jaya Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Narasimha. Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Narasimha. Jaya Prahlad Narasimha Prahlad Narasimha. Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Narasimha. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Thank you all devotees for joining. I'm just checking whether Sukhi Jagannath Prabhu is there.
Prabhu, we have Aarti now.
Yeah. So along with somebody has to sing, no, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. Arshini is singing Tulsi Aarti.
Okay. Huh?
And Saramati will sing the Gaurati.
Okay. Nice, very nice. You can spotlight. I will spotlight.
Vrindaye Tulsi Devyaye Priyaye Keshava Shakta Vishnu Bhakti Pati Devi Satyatai Namo Namah. Vrindaye Tulsi Devyaye Priyaye Keshava Shakta Vishnu Bhakti Pati Devi Satyatai Namo Namah. Vrindaye Tulsi Devyaye Priyaye Keshava Shakta Vishnu Bhakti Pati Devi Satyatai Namo Namah. Vrindaye Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
doing what's for it.
वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवशाय विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवशाय विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वंदे तुलसी महारानी की जय।
Saran Prabhu, you are connected to Wi-Fi?
Yes, Prabhu. Not audible?
No, sometimes bandwidth becoming low, so just part.
Okay.
जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय
जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय
Namo Vishnu Padaya
हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय. Thank you, Sarvan Prabhu and Sarmati Mataji for wonderful Aarti and kids also, Varshini and Hygrev. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. So now we have a class by Vyasacharya Prabhu. I'm very excited to hear from him. So it will be a very interesting class by Prabhu. So let's all welcome Prabhu by chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamudra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Aparajit Govind Prabhu, for this warm welcome. And thank you all devotees for giving me this opportunity to speak on Bhagavad Gita today. We'll begin with prayers, Prabhu, Aparajit Govind Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Or shall we, should I begin with Kirtans? Like
generally, devotees will begin with Kirtan.
With Kirtan? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll begin with Kirtan then. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Kunja Bihari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira
Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Subhadra Jaya Sudarshanam
Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha
Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai
Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Jaya Gaura Hari Bol
Gaur Premanande Jai Shri Radha Madhav ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Sudra Maya Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So I am very, very happy and honored and privileged to be here amidst all devotees. Actually, ever since I finished writing my thesis, I was so eager to come physically to the Surbikunj Bhakti Center, and I was eagerly looking forward. But unfortunately, as situation prevails, the center is again physically unmanifested for some time, and it is virtually manifested. It's misfortune of devotees like me who are not able to regularly take association of devotees. I seek everybody's forgiveness for this, but we hope and pray that the situation improves and we are able to take each other. Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me this opportunity to speak for my own purification. So I've been asked to. I think Prabhuji, everybody can go on mute now. That way it will be. Aparajit Govind Prabhu, everybody is able to hear me and see me properly, right? Everything is okay?
Yes, yes. We have spotlighted you. Everyone
Oh,
can see.
okay, Prabhu. Okay. So I have been asked to speak on the 4 verses, in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 16, 17, 18, 19. And let us begin with the recitation of these shlokas, and then we'll go ahead with the discussion. So reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, shloka 16. Aham katur aham yagya swadhaham aham aushadham mantroham aham evajyam aham agnir aham hutam पिताहम अस्य जगतो माता धाता पितामह वेद्यं पवित्रम ओंकार ऋक्साम यजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभु साक्षी निवासः शरणं सुहृत् प्रभवः प्रलयः स्थानं निधानं बीजम् अव्ययम् तपामि अहं वर्षं निगृहामि उत्सृजामि च अमृतं चैव मृत्युश्च सदसच्चहम् अर्जुन. So I'll just read the translations once. So 9.16, but it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. 9.17, I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sam and the Yajur Vedas. 9.18, I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. And 9.19, the fourth in the series, O Arjun, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Before I begin, I would request all devotees to again chant once the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We will all offer our heartfelt, sincere prayers from the core of our heart for the good health of His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Rama Hare Rama.
Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So I'm sure Maharaj will come out of this, and let us all continue our prayers. Let us all chant intensely for the good health of Maharaj and everybody else. Also, there are many devotees actually who are sick or who are having some, some disorder or the other. Let us all remember all devotees all over the world for their well-being. So I'll recite the shlokas once again, and then we'll begin with the discussion. Aham kratur aham yagya swadhaham aham aushadham mantroham aham evajyam aham agnir aham hutam. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara rikisam yajurevacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sam, and the Yajurvedas. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasha Sharanam Suhrit Prabhavaha Pralayah Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. Tapamyaham aham varsham nigrahami utsajamiya amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasachaham Arjuna. O Arjun, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So these are a very, very wonderful set of shlokas from chapter 9. As we all know, in this whole Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 chapters. And the first 6, the middle 6, and the last 6, and the middle 6 is like the the cream of the sandwich, the most delicious portion, or the most important treasure. This middle 6 chapters are directly the Bhakti Yoga is being recommended by Lord Krishna. So this is the Bhakti Yoga section of Bhagavad Gita, and we have covered chapter 7. And the acharyas say that how chapter 7 and chapter 9 have a lot of similarities. There also Krishna talks about hearing. There also Krishna talks about he being the source and the best and the essence of everything. There also Krishna talks about Bhakti Yoga. And similarly, we see similar themes continuing in chapter 9. Yet, it is not chapter 7 which is called the most confidential knowledge. It is chapter 9 which is called the most confidential knowledge. Srila Prabhupada explains why chapter 9 is called most confidential knowledge. That is because in this chapter, Krishna is talking about pure devotional service, uninterrupted, unmotivated, pure devotional service. And that's why this chapter has been called as the most confidential knowledge. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the knowledge of Jiva, that we are not the body, we are soul, that is called confidential knowledge, the knowledge of Jiva. The knowledge of Krishna, that hey, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and we are part and parcel of Krishna, that knowledge is called as more confidential knowledge. But the knowledge about the eternal relationship between the Jiva and the Krishna and the perfection of life in the form of pure rendering pure loving devotional service to Krishna, that is called as the most confidential knowledge, right? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually clarifies this, that what is confidential knowledge, what is more confidential knowledge, and what is most confidential knowledge. The knowledge about Jiva is confidential, that is we are not the body, we are soul. The knowledge about Krishna, that if we are part and parcel of Krishna and he is the supreme personality of Godhead, that is more confidential knowledge. But the most confidential knowledge is that the perfection of life, the topmost treasure which anybody can ever aspire for, is rendering loving pure devotional service to Krishna. So that is why it is called most confidential knowledge. It talks about bhakti. So bhakta, Bhagavan, and bhakti, that is the most confidential knowledge. So now in this particular series of verses, actually Krishna is first, in this particular first section, Krishna is talking about the different types of indirect worshippers. So there are people who worship Krishna directly, and there are people who worship Krishna indirectly. So Krishna is talking about 3 types of indirect worshippers. The first are called as Ekatvena, second are called as Vishwatomukham, and third are called as Prithakvena. So Ekatvena means the monists, those who worship themselves as being one with the Supreme. So they are called as Ekatvena, the monists. So they are indirect worshippers of Krishna. The second is Vishwatomukham. Vishwatomukham means those who worship the Vishwarupa, those who worship Krishna's form in the form of this gigantic cosmic manifestation. That is called as Vishwatomukham. And the third kind of indirect worshippers are called as Prathakvena. Prathakvena means those who worship the demigods, the demigod worshippers. So in this chapter, we will see till shloka number 25, Krishna is talking about these indirect worshippers. And in particular, in today's 4 shlokas, Krishna is talking about the second category, which is the Vishwatomukham. And 20 onwards, we'll see he'll talk about 20 to 25. He'll talk about the third category, Prithakvena, that is the demigod worshippers. But all these 3, Ekatvena, Vishwatomukham, and Prithakvena, all these 3 are indirect worshippers of Krishna. And in today's set of verses from 16 to 19, we will see Krishna is talking about Vishwatomukham, or those who worship Krishna in the form of this gigantic cosmic material manifestation. So that is a brief context and the position of this set of verses in the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna's mood behind telling these verses. So 16 to 19 talks about Krishna's potency, which is manifested within matter. So this is like a quick background to what is this set of verses talking about, where it is coming in the big picture, right? So we have Bhakti Yoga in the middle 6 chapters, which is the most confidential knowledge. In the middle 6 chapters, chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge. Inside chapter 9, in the first 25 shlokas, Krishna is talking about the 3 kinds of indirect worshippers. In that, the second category is called Vishwatomukham, who worship Krishna in the form of gigantic form, and that's the verses from 16 to 19, which we are discussing today. Okay, so having said this context, let's proceed with these verses one by one, and let's see what are the main things which Srila Prabhupada is teaching us through these verses in Bhagavad Gita. So 9.16, Krishna is telling that how he is the ritual, he is the sacrifice, he is the offering to the ancestors, he is the healing herb, he is the transcendental chant, he is the butter. By butter, we mean ghee here. It's not the Amul butter which we put in the yagyas. It's basically ghee, fire, offerings. Krishna is telling he is everything, right? As far as all these rituals and sacrifices which are prescribed in the Vedas are concerned, the essence is Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, therefore, very clearly, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of this particular verse that those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. Now, this is a very, very important point to note. It's not that those sacrifices are not to be done, or it's not that those sacrifices are not good enough, or things like that. But there are certain constraints which are imposed on us due to this Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, we can't do elaborate sacrifices. In Kali Yuga, we will be running short of pure ingredients. We'll not have pure brahmanas to be able to do these sacrifices. And there is only this much that we can do in Kali Yuga, because of our inabilities, because of lack of ingredients, because of lack of qualification. But here in this verse, we are getting a very wonderful relief or solace, wherein Krishna is telling that ultimately I am the essence. In fact, I am those yagyas. I am those offerings. I am that sacrifice. So Prabhupada is giving a very reassuring statement in the purport that if we are engaged in rendering devotional service, so first of all, we all have to ask ourselves, are we engaged in rendering devotional service to Krishna? We have to ask ourselves this. And if we are, then we have to feel a little happy that, hey, then Srila Prabhupada is telling that if we are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna, then we are understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas, because ultimately that's the purpose. The very word sacrifice or yajna means something for the pleasure of Krishna, right? Now, when I came newly to Krishna consciousness in around 2000, that time I used to always wonder, why is pleasure of Krishna is called sacrifice, and why, if we are working for the pleasure of Krishna, why is it called sacrifice, right? Then I understood that, hey, why it is called sacrifice is because we are sacrificing our time, our energy for the pleasure of Krishna, right? And that's something which is very, very important, and that's actually is devotional service. And we know from this wonderful episode of Yajna Patnis, wherein the Krishna and the cowherd boys, they felt hungry, and Krishna told them to go. There were some brahmanas, Yajnik brahmanas, they were doing some yagyas, they were the employees of Kamsa, and on his behalf, they were doing some yagyas. And these cowherd boys, they went to the brahmanas who were chanting these Vedic mantras and, doing all these sacrifices. They said, my dear brahmanas, actually our Krishna is very hungry. All of us are very hungry. Can you please give us some food? And the brahmanas, they neglected them. They did not pay attention to them. And they said, we are very, very busy doing this yajna. We have no time for any of this nonsense. Then they returned back empty handed. They were sad that Krishna, these brahmanas did not help us. And Krishna said, now go and ask their wives, the Brahman Patnis, the Yajna Patnis. And when these cowherd boys went to the wives of those brahmanas and said that Krishna is hungry, he wants food, the Patnis, the wives, the Yajna Patnis, the wives of the brahmanas, they left everything and immediately they prepared nice offerings for Krishna, and they went and offered to Krishna. And this Krishna did to teach to the whole world, to the whole creation, that if we are busy doing the sacrifices, but if we are not bothered about what is pleasing to Krishna and what is not pleasing to Krishna, then it is like operation successful, but patient died. The operation may be successful. Doctor is coming after 4 hours of surgery. How was the operation, sir? It was wonderful. Where is the patient? Where is my father? Where is my brother? Oh, he is dead. Then that is meaningless. Similarly, doing all these sacrifices and yajnas is wonderful only as long as it increases in us attachment to Krishna. So that's what Prabhupada is recommending here in this particular verse. Those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. And as I said, we should ask two questions. We should ask this to ourselves. Are we engaged in rendering devotional service to Krishna? If yes, then we should be rest assured that on Prabhupada's guarantee, on Prabhupada's assurance, we are actually taking care of many things which are recommended in the Vedas. So Prabhupada's assurance is there that we don't have to worry about each and every details which are mentioned in so many Shastras. There are so many Vedas, there are so many Upanishads, there are so many Puranas. You know, there are hundreds and thousands of rules and regulations to be followed. We poor Kali Yuga souls, I mean, we are rascals, that's fine. But we are also very unfortunate. I mean, Srimad Bhagavatam, our Shaunakadi rishis, when they are asking Suta Goswami, they are telling how Kali Yuga people are, unfortunate, they are misguided. Means we are unfortunate, we are misguided, we are lazy, we are always disturbed. How many things, of the Vedas and Upanishads and Puranas will we be able to follow? So therefore, Prabhupada is making our life simple, that if you are engaged in rendering devotional service to Krishna, you can understand that you are performing all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. So don't worry. Then we move on to 9.17. In 17, Krishna is telling that I am the father, I am the mother, I am the support, I am the grandsire, I am the object of knowledge, I am the purifier, I am the cerebral Om, I am the Rig, Sam, Yajurved, he is telling. So here, Prabhupada writes in this purport that how everything is Krishna, because everything is energy of Krishna. We know the shloka parasya shakti vividhe shruyate swabhavaki jnana bali kriya cha. So everything in this material creation is happening by the energies of Krishna, by his sweet will, through the energies of Krishna. So just like Prabhupada gives the example of sun and sunshine, they are same also, they are different also. Achinta beda beda. Similarly, we are seeing here that how whatever we see around us is in one sense Krishna and not Krishna. How it is Krishna? It is qualitatively Krishna, because it is all the energies of Krishna, including you and me, including all the living entities who are the marginal energy of Krishna. Tatastha Shakti. So there is a Antaranga Shakti, internal energy. There is Bahiranga Shakti, material energy, and there is a Tatastha Shakti, which is the marginal potency of the Lord, which are the Jivas, the living entities. So everything, directly or indirectly, is Krishna. That is what is being highlighted in 9.17. And Prabhupada says that every living entity is energy of Krishna and hence non-different from Krishna. Prabhupada says this. Now, this is not to be misunderstood as everybody is God. See, many times when these philosophies or these theories have become famous in India, it's not because of no reason. There are statements in Shastras which actually refer to things like that, but they are misunderstood. For example, when it is said, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi does not mean I am God. Aham Brahmasmi means I am Brahman, I am spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So Aham Brahmasmi means we are also soul, Krishna is also soul, but that does not mean we are Krishna. Similarly, so because we are qualitatively one, but quantitatively we are not one. We are infinitesimal, we are like a spark of fire, and Krishna is like huge fire. So similarly, Prabhupada is now telling here, I mean, this is Prabhupada's purport in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Any living entity is energy of Krishna and hence non-different from Krishna. So in one sense, Prabhupada is telling everybody is Krishna. On the other hand, we know how Prabhupada, he stands against Mayavad. And, he says that, Mayavad philosophy basically says that we are all Krishna, right? And Prabhupada, as soon as he gets even a small smell of Mayavad anywhere, the verse may have dur tak, no connection to Mayavad, yet Prabhupada will bring Mayavadi there and beat him left and right, just to highlight that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna is the supreme person, and we are not Krishna, we are the servant of Krishna. But here we see Prabhupada is telling that we are non-different from Krishna. So this is to be understood in a proper context. Prabhupada is referring to the qualitative oneness. He is not referring to quantitative oneness. Just like in a family or in a country, or in any organization, we can say we are all one. We are all one does not mean we are all one. In the sense that we don't have separate individualities. We are all one means we are all one in spirit. We are all one in the purpose. Similarly, we are all one in quality. Satchit Anand. That's what it means. But at the same time, what it means is that we can see Krishna's presence in every living entity. That's also a fact. The Jiva is the energy of Krishna for sure. But at the same time, we know that how Krishna is also personally present in every Jiva. As Shirodakshay Vishnu, Paramatma, the Antaryami, Paramatma, Shirodakshay Vishnu. He is present in every body, as Paramatma in the heart. So in both ways, we can see Krishna's presence in every living entity, both as Paramatma, because that's why we say that this body is like a temple, because Krishna is residing in this body. And also, even that living entity, being energy of Krishna, is to be considered non-different from Krishna qualitatively. And therefore, one very important application point for each one of us is that while we are worshipping Krishna with full awe and reverence, while we are paying full attention to worshipping Krishna, it should not happen that we are neglecting people around us. It should not happen that our full attention is on Krishna, but what is happening to our parents, or what is happening to our wife or children, but on what is happening to our neighbors, we have absolutely no idea of it. That's not to be done. That's not what a devotee is. When somebody asks Prabhupada, how can I understand who is your devotee? Who is an ISKCON member? Prabhupada said that my devotees will be perfect gentlemen. And perfect gentlemen are those who deal with everybody perfectly. It's not that just because they are worried about Krishna, just that they are concerned about Krishna, therefore they are only worried about Krishna and nothing else and nobody else. Let my children go to hell, let my neighbors go to hell, let my parents and my wife and my husband go to hell. I will only worry about Krishna because I have been told that Krishna likes Ananya Bhakti. Krishna is a jealous lover. Krishna likes Ananya Bhakti. I cannot love anybody else. That's not the point. That's a misunderstanding. Shastras, they give a lot of knowledge, but if the knowledge is not understood in proper guidance, then that knowledge acts like a sword. Either we cut others with the sword. We know how in Bhagavad Gita knowledge has been compared to a sword, right? Sword of knowledge. Now that sword, if we don't understand it in the right guidance, then that sword can either cut ourselves or we can cut others using the sword. That's not why knowledge is called as sword. Knowledge is called as sword because it can help us cut our ignorance. Is something wrong? Prabhu, everything is fine?
Yes, Prabhu, everything is fine. Sometimes somebody can mute. I'll mute them.
Okay. So I was talking about how knowledge is compared to sword, but if we are not getting knowledge in the right guidance, then that sword can cut us or cut others. But the reason why knowledge is compared to sword is not because of this. The reason why knowledge is compared to sword is because it is meant to cut our ignorance. It is meant to cut our bondage. It is meant to cut our attachments. It's not meant to cut ourselves or cut others, right? If we are not careful, that may happen. So therefore, we should see Krishna in every individual, and we should see that our advancement in Krishna consciousness depends, just like it depends on our quality of our reading, hearing, and chanting, just like our advancement of Krishna consciousness depends upon the way we do deity worship, the way we offer bhoga, the way we come in front of Krishna in temple. In the same way, our advancement in Krishna consciousness also depends upon the way we interact with different living entities. So therefore, a self-realized soul, he considers every interaction as an opportunity to give or receive Krishna's love. That interaction could be with an enemy, the interaction could be with a friend, the interaction could be with a family member, the interaction could be with a neighbor, but a self-realized soul, the more advanced one is in Krishna consciousness, the more he sees every interaction as an opportunity to give or receive Krishna's love. So this is one very important application point of shloka number 17. Now we move to 18. In 18, Krishna is telling that I am the ultimate shelter. I am the goal, I am the sustainer, I am the master, I am the witness, I am the abode, I am the refuge, I am most dear friend, Suhrit, I am the creation, I am the annihilation, I am the basis of everything, I am the resting place, I am eternal seed. There's a long list. Krishna is everything, right? So in fact, there is nothing outside of Krishna. So this list actually is very short, so to speak. Several years back when the first time I used to read these shlokas, I used to feel that, hey, come on, this list is too long. Why Krishna is giving such long list? And later I realized that actually this list is nothing. Actually it is infinite. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Everything is, that way. Nothing can exist outside of Krishna. Mother Yashoda, when Krishna is eating this Mrid Bhakshan Leela, when Krishna is eating mud, and Mother Yashoda is asking Krishna to open the mouth, she's seeing everybody, including herself, and including Krishna, opening the mouth, inside Krishna's mouth. Inside that again, Krishna is opening the mouth, and she's everything. So there is this, those of us who are in computer science, those of us who know computer science a bit, you'll see there is a concept called recursion. Recursion means a function calling itself, and the function is calling itself again, so it's going. Or when you go to a barber shop, right? You go to a barber shop and there is a mirror in front of us and there is a mirror behind us, right? And then it kind of keeps going. So Mother Yashoda saw something like that in Krishna's mouth, because that is a reality. Nothing exists outside Krishna, right? And everything is energy of Krishna. This table, this laptop, everything is energy of Krishna. And therefore, Prabhupada said that utility is the principle. We have to use everything in service of Krishna. So, this coming to the topic of so here in this 18th shloka, Krishna is talking about two main things. He's talking about how he is the Gati, he's the ultimate Gati, he's the ultimate shelter, and he's also talking about how he's the witness in everybody's heart. What is the word which he uses here? He's Sakshi. Krishna says in 9.18, Sakshi. So he's the Sakshi, we know Sakshi Gopal, right? So he's the Sakshi, and he's the best friend, and he is the Sharanam, he's the ultimate Gati, ultimate destination. Gati, he says, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi says, right? So once His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu, he was telling that how once His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj, he summarized the essence of the all Vedas. Mahavishnu Maharaj summarized essence of all Vedas as like this. It's in Hindi, so please excuse me for this, but we'll kind of discuss it. So Mahavishnu Maharaj once summarized the essence of all Vedas by saying, Krishna hamare pati, Krishna hamare gati, unme lagao mati, jisse hriday mein unke prati rati. So what he was telling is Krishna is our pati, that means Krishna is our maintainer. Krishna is our gati, as we see in this shloka also. Krishna is the ultimate destination. Krishna unme lagao mati, that means we should connect our consciousness to Krishna. We should offer our consciousness to Krishna. We have to mati, Krishna unme lagao mati, jisse hriday mein jage unke prati rati, so that we develop rati or attachment to Krishna in the heart. So that's the essence of all advice in the Vedas. So now Prabhupada is writing in the purport that ultimately, indirectly or directly, Krishna is everybody's goal. Now somebody knows it, somebody does not know it, and somebody is pursuing that goal directly, and somebody is pursuing that goal indirectly. Now there is one important word of caution. We should not misunderstand this to mean that, hey, if anyway everybody automatically is going to achieve Krishna, then why are you all doing such a big propaganda of preaching? I mean, आप लोग कुछ don't do any preaching, just sit at home. Anyway, everybody's destination is Krishna. Sooner or later, today or tomorrow, everybody will achieve Krishna. Why you all are so much, fighting and jumping around, for preaching. So just because everybody's destination is Krishna does not mean everybody will achieve the destination automatically. It's not said anywhere in the Shastras that automatically people will achieve that destination. It is said that Krishna is the ultimate destination. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahara. So yes, Krishna is the ultimate destination. So yes, Krishna is the ultimate destination, but it does not mean that everybody will automatically achieve that destination. We have to use our free will to surrender to Krishna. We have to use our free will to serve Krishna. Only then we will be on that path. Otherwise, yes, the ultimate destination is that, but we may be on our own agenda. We may be not on the path of that destination. So this is not to be misunderstood that, hey, anyway, everybody is directly or indirectly approaching Krishna. So, everybody one day or the other will approach Krishna. So why are you doing such a big you and cry about preaching? It's not like that. It does not happen automatically. So preaching is to make sure that the jivas, they use their free will to surrender to Krishna. That is the essence of preaching, that we want to influence the whole world to use their free will to surrender to Krishna, right? Because it will not happen automatically. Somebody has to influence. So that's one point here. The other very important point here is about the Sakshi. The moment we hear that Krishna is a Sakshi in the heart, different people may have different reaction. Let me try to explain this with an analogy. Imagine we are, on the street, in the dark night, let's say it's 11 o'clock in the night, or let's say 12 o'clock in the night. And let's say there is no night curfew and things like that. So, we are, let's say at the middle of the night, we are alone on the road, and we know that there is a policeman watching. Okay. So we are alone in the road at the middle of the night. It's pitch dark, and we know there is a policeman watching. Now, if I'm a criminal, if I am roaming on the road with bad intention, with an intention of breaking the law, and if I know that policeman is watching, will I be happy about policeman watching, or will I be sad about policeman watching? I'll be sad about policeman. Not only sad, I may be afraid about policeman watching, right? Similarly, demons or non-devotees, the moment they hear that Krishna is watching, they become unhappy or they become sad. Just like a criminal who is trying to break the laws, and he is in the middle of the night and he knows that policeman is watching. On the other hand, if we are law-abiding citizen, If we are not on the road because of any bad intention, but we are on the road with all good intention and we are trying to go to our home or whatever, right? Then will we be afraid of the policeman? No, rather we'll be happy that policeman is there, so that nothing wrong will happen to me. Correct? You see how such a complete contrast, by the same fact. The fact is policeman is watching. But on one person, the effect is different. On the other person, effect is different. Similarly, the fact that Krishna is watching us, right, is taken differently by different people. And once His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he was telling that how Krishna is present as a witness in our heart, not to catch us doing wrong, but to coach us doing the right thing. See, so Krishna is present in our heart as witness, not to catch us doing wrong. Hey, dekha, pakda, pakda isko. Caught him. Now he did something wrong. Caught him. Krishna is not in our heart as a witness to catch us doing something wrong. Rather, He is in the heart, in our heart as witness to coach us to do something right, not to catch us in doing something wrong. So this is a very, very important point. So not only we will be happy with Krishna's presence, rather one more thing will happen, that whenever anybody else tempts us to break the law, or whenever anybody else threatens us to break the law, we will feel that, hey, policeman is watching, so I can feel a sense of protection, and I will get the power to not break the law out of a temptation or out of threat. Right? Similarly, in our lives, when we are trying to follow the 4 regulative principles, when we are trying to follow this right path or the best and the most perfect path of Krishna consciousness, there may be temptations. People may threaten us, stop chanting, otherwise we'll kill you. And this has actually happened with devotees. If you have, I recommend all devotees to watch this drama called The Salted Bread, or read the book called Salted Bread. We will see what kind of atrocities have been performed on the devotees. They have been given injections of drugs, so that their memory should, they should lose memory, they should become crazy, they should become mad, and what not has been done by the KGBs, so that the devotees stop chanting and distributing books, right? But a devotee, when he knows that Krishna is there in the heart as Sakshi, he also feels full assurance of Krishna's protection, and he feels full empowerment in continuing to follow the path of Krishna consciousness. That's another thing which happens when we know that Krishna is watching. And then Prabhupada says that some know that Krishna is the goal, some don't know Krishna is the goal, but those who don't know, whatever is their march, their progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. Prabhupada writes in the purport. Prabhupada writes that one who does not know Krishna, his progressive march is either partial, that means, they are at a particular level, they are indirectly trying to approach Krishna, they are at a particular level, they're trying to climb the stairs gradually, or hallucinatory. That means they're on some different path only, and God knows what will happen to them, but everybody is indirectly approaching Krishna. And then Prabhupada gives his recommendation, which is a point of action for all of us. One should directly approach Krishna because that will save time and energy. Bhavanam Janmanam Ante, as we discussed. One should directly approach Krishna because that will save time and energy. And Prabhupada gives an example of the stairs and the elevator. The elevator has been made available to us. Why do we want to take the stairs? Now you never know. Once I was giving a seminar in one of the IITs, probably it was IIT Bombay if I recollect correctly. And when the moment I said that, why should we take the stairs? Let's take the elevator. One boy said, sir, one question. I said, what's the question? He said, but you know what? Taking stairs is healthier. These days, everybody says that, try to avoid taking lift at least once a day, try to climb the stairs, it's good for health. That's not the point. That's a different point he's trying to bring in here. The point here is that, if I know this is the goal, I should rather directly try to approach the goal instead of beating around the bush, in fact, instead of trying to do something indirectly. The point is not about stairs and elevator that way. The health point is a different point, right? But anyway, so people always come up with all kinds of excuses to find some flaws in shastras and things like that. So, we have to approach Krishna for whatever we may want, material desires, like Dhruva approached Krishna for material desires, is it not? Artho artharthi jigyasu jnani, right? Whatever may be our reason, but we have to approach Krishna. Prabhupada says approach Krishna and save time and energy. Don't beat around the bush. Don't go here, there. Just go to Krishna. There is no confusion about it in the Vedas. And then we come to the last shloka in this series, 9.19. In 9.19, what is Krishna telling? Krishna is saying, I am the heat. I only stop the rain also. I only, let the rain come. I'm immortality. I am death. And both spirit and matter are in me, Krishna is telling. Now, this is another very, very wonderful shloka wherein we can see some nice things which Krishna is telling about himself. First of all, we see how these wonderful seasons which are there, summer season, winter season, and you see Krishna is telling, I mean, modern scientists are saying that everything is happening automatically or everything is happening by chance, but we know that nothing happens automatically. Even if something is happening automatically, there is somebody who creates that mechanism, right? Let's say, for example, there is an automatic door which is opening and closing. Somebody created that, and that's why it is automatic, right? Somebody made it automatic. Similarly, whatever is happening automatically around us, who made it? We know Krishna made it, right? And of course, we know nothing is by chance. If I'm hungry and I'm getting I'm seeing a plate full of prasadam in front of me, I will not say that, oh, by chance I was hungry and I have a plate full of prasadam in front of me. Somebody cooked it and somebody has, kindly, lovingly served it in front of me. So similarly, Krishna is telling that in some seasons, I don't allow the rain to happen. And in some seasons, I allow the rain to happen, right? So everything is so wonderfully controlled by Krishna. In summer season, we get those fruits which are very juicy so that our water input is taken care of. In winter season, we get fruits which are rich in vitamin C and things like that. So in what season, what should happen, in water, there are fish and all the other aquatics which are staying in water. Krishna has made the conditions in water so nice for them to live. Even if it is a minus, even if it is sub-zero temperature, the water under the ice, we all know that water has this anomalous expansion property. At 4 degrees centigrade, water has maximum density, right? So because of that, what happens is that the lake starts freezing from top down, right? Any lake, even in the sub-zero temperature, will start freezing from top down. That means at the top, there will be a thin layer of ice or snow or whatever. And under that, there'll be little warm water, right? Little warm water. And that warm water provides a very wonderful condition for the aquatics to live, right? So nothing is happening by chance or automatically, and it's all carefully arranged by Krishna to make our life easy in this world. The sun, if the sun was a little bit further away, we all would have frozen to death. And if the sun was a little bit closer, we all would have burnt to death. But it is exactly at the right position. It's not that some explosion happened, and in the explosion, sun was out of its senses and sun was also flying because of the explosion, and then sun thought, hey, no, not too close, not too far, and let me stop here. This is not what happened. So it's all very wonderfully designed by Krishna, and that is Krishna's love for us. So once Gaurang Prabhu was telling that we read in Srimad Bhagavatam how there are so many places. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a Mahapuran because it talks about 10 topics. Any Puran which talks about all the 10 topics, the Sarga, Visarga, Shrishti, Uti, Sthan, Poshana, Ashray, everything. Any Puran which talks about all the 10 topics is called as a Mahapuran. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam is a Mahapuran because it also talks about Sthanam. That means what are the various destinations in the entire creation? What are the various positions and places? And that's why we see in Srimad Bhagavatam so many aspects of creation is described. So many different kinds of planetary systems and everything is described. So once Gaurang Prabhu, in one of his classes, he was telling that imagine Krishna has gone so much out of the way, to facilitate our stay in this material world. He has created all facilities. He has created all everything which we need to survive and to stay in this material world. Krishna has created. If we can do so much to help us forget him, because we wanted to forget him, right? And Krishna reluctantly had to agree because we were hell-bent. We said, no, we want to stay away from him. We want to stay away from him. We wanted to forget him. And then Krishna, he made all this to facilitate us to forget him. Now imagine Krishna loves us so much that if he is doing so much to help us forget him, what will he do if we say that, Krishna, I want to remember you? So any of us who says that, Prabhuji, we are not able to remember Krishna, Prabhuji, we are not able to do this, we are not able to do that. Actually, the problem is in the strength of our desire. We are not desiring strongly enough. Once Prabhupada, after a morning walk, Prabhupada was about to sit in the car and close the door and leave the place. And then one devotee, in several days, he was contemplating on asking Prabhupada about something. And this day also he was contemplating, should I ask? And then when Prabhupada was about to sit in the car and he was about to close the door and go away from the morning walk, this devotee finally gathered all courage and asked Prabhupada, I want to ask one question. Prabhupada said, yes, what is it? And then this person said, Prabhupada, we know you have given so many instructions in Krishna consciousness that we have to do this, we have to do that. There are hundreds and thousands of things in Krishna consciousness. But if I have to ask you, what is the one single most important thing in Krishna consciousness, what will you say? Prabhupada said, desire. And then he closed the door and he left. So, and we all know how desire is that one single most important thing in Krishna consciousness. If we have the desire, we know that even to facilitate our forgetting Krishna, Krishna is doing so much. What to speak of when we say, Krishna, I want to love you, I want to remember you. What will he do? He will not leave anything, he will not leave any stone unturned. And then in this shloka, Krishna is also talking about being death. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that Krishna meets us at the end as a death. Krishna meets us at the end as death. And of course, we know that how for non-devotees or for atheists who don't believe in Krishna, Krishna comes as death, right? For the people say that, hey, I don't believe in Krishna, I don't believe God exists. For them, how does God come? God comes in the form of death. So for those who don't believe in God, God comes in the form of death. And for those who believe in God, death comes as God. And then Prabhupada gives this example of, the cat carrying a kitten in the mouth and the cat carrying a mouse in the mouth, right? When the cat is carrying a mouse in the mouth and taking the mouse from one place to another place, the mouse is feeling the teeth and the bite and the jaws of the cat, and the mouse is in excruciating pain. The mouse is suffering in the mouth of the cat. On the other hand, when the mother cat is trying to take her baby kittens from one place to another, that also she does by putting the kitten in the mouth, but that is not like the biting way, it's like in a loving way, right? So that's the difference, in death between a devotee and or an atheist. So then Prabhupada is telling that one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness learns to see Krishna everywhere. So I would like to end with a nice acronym, that how with time we learn to see Krishna in time. Okay, so with time, that means as we make progress in Krishna consciousness, if we are following the path properly, nothing happens automatically. We have to be in association of devotees. We have to read Prabhupada books. We have to hear. We have to chant. We have to honor Krishna Prasad. We have to render services. We have to come to temple, right? And then if we are following the process which is laid out by our acharyas, if we follow the process properly, then with the time, we will learn to see Krishna in time. T-I-M-E. What is T-I-M-E? We will learn to see Krishna in temple. We will learn to see Krishna in individuals. We will learn to see Krishna in material nature, and we will learn to see Krishna in events. T for temple, I for individuals, M for material nature, and E for events. Okay. Now let's quickly discuss them one by one. Learning to see Krishna in temple. What does it mean? That is the beginning. At least wherever the deities are, we have to at least understand that, hey, this is where Krishna is. And initially we take deities to be somebody made of marble or wood or stone. But actually we know Krishna is saying in this verse, both spirit and matter are in me. For Krishna, there is no difference between spirit and matter. Somebody may say that, these deities are made of metal, they are made of wood, they are made of stone. Is Krishna stone? Is Krishna wood? Is Krishna metal? No, for Krishna, there is stone, wood, metal, spirit, matter, everything is same, right? And Krishna actually, the fact that deity is Krishna means now it is no longer matter, because for Krishna, it's all the same. Like Prabhupada, in I think one of those small books called On the Way to Krishna, if I'm recollecting the name of the book right, in that book, Prabhupada gives an example of an electrical engineer. For an electrical engineer, electrical energy is electrical energy. Now, in some device, it is giving a cooling effect, and in some device, it is giving a heating effect. Like, for example, refrigerator, the electrical energy, the effect it is producing in the refrigerator is of cooling, and the effect it is producing in an oven is of heating. But the electrical energy is electrical energy. Similarly, matter and spirit, both are energies of Krishna, right? So that's how Prabhupada is explaining. So once, one disciple, Prabhupada wanted to test his understanding of philosophy. So Prabhupada asked, my dear, I don't know what was the name of the disciple. Prabhupada said, my dear so-and-so, can you tell me where exactly in the deity Krishna resides? Prabhupada wanted to test the understanding. Prabhupada always wanted, his followers to read his books very, very carefully and analytically. Those who have some intellectual bent of mind, Prabhupada wanted everybody to read the books. And those who have little intellectual bent of mind, Prabhupada wanted to read their books scrutinizingly and analytically. So Prabhupada asked this devotee to test him, can you tell me where exactly in the deity Krishna resides? And this devotee also thought, it's a good question. Let me give some nice answers so that Prabhupada is impressed. So he said, Prabhupada, the Krishna lies in the deity, near the heart of the deity. In the deity there is a heart portion. That's where Krishna lies. Prabhupada said, nonsense. Krishna does not lie in the deity. Krishna is deity. Deity is Krishna. It's not that deity is some outer covering and there somewhere inside Krishna is. No, it's not like that. Deity is Krishna. non-different from Krishna, Prabhupada said. So we have to, with time, as we make progress in Krishna consciousness, we will learn to see Krishna in temple. Then we will learn to, that was T. And then I, we will learn to see Krishna in individuals. As we saw in the 17th shloka here, Krishna is telling that in every living entity also there is Krishna, right? And therefore we have to understand that our advancement in Krishna consciousness certainly depends on chanting, reading, hearing, and the way we render services, the way we approach Krishna in temple. But exactly in the same way, it is also dependent on the way we deal with others, because there is Krishna in every living entity. So we learn to see Krishna in individuals. And third, M, we learn to see Krishna in material nature, as is Krishna is telling in this Vishwarupa, the cosmic manifestation, the sun and the moon are the eyes, and everything, the wind blowing. So there are so many pastimes of Prabhupada, when Prabhupada is demonstrating that how a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere. Once, one disciple, in the early days, probably 66, 67, that time, there was one disciple of Prabhupada who was taking care of a center. And he was very new in Krishna consciousness. And those days, we all know that even if you are like 1 month old, you are a temple president, right? So he was taking care of a center, and he invited Prabhupada to come and give a class. So, but he was so new that he did not know that when Prabhupada comes, we have to arrange for a Vyasacharya and things like that. So he made Prabhupada sit on the floor, right? And then Prabhupada also came and sat on the floor and gave a class and left. After a couple of years, that devotee realized what big mistake he did. He called Prabhupada and he made Prabhupada sit on the floor and give class. And then this disciple wrote a letter to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Swamiji, please forgive me. I did not know that what is the way to treat you, what is the way to receive you, what is the way, I should have created a Vyasasana and all that. Please forgive me, I made you sit on the floor. You know what Prabhupada replied? Prabhupada replied, never mind, because of you, I could sit on the lap of Mother Earth, and I was feeling that I'm in the lap of Krishna. Like that, Prabhupada replied. Similarly, once, I think in Hawaii or somewhere, Prabhupada was standing near a window and nice breeze was blowing. And Prabhupada said, oh, this breeze is like a loving embrace of Krishna, So, and when Prabhupada would drink water, he would say, oh, this is Krishna. So we know that how Prabhupada was so Krishna conscious, or any pure devotee is so Krishna conscious, that he actually sees Krishna everywhere in the material nature. And then, so T is temple, I is individuals, M is material nature, and then E, events. And that is also very, very important. Some good things may happen to us, bad things may happen to us. Things may go according to our plan, things may not go according to our plan. In whatever it is, we have to learn to see Krishna's hands. Now, those who are atheists, they don't see Krishna's hands in anything. Those who are atheists, they don't see Krishna's hands in anything. Those who are demons or envious people, they see Krishna's hands, but they want to kill him. This is because of Krishna. Just like Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to kill Krishna because he was seeing Krishna's hands in killing Hiranyaksha, right? So demons, actually, it's not that they don't see Krishna's hands. They see Krishna's hands, but they are so envious of Krishna that they want to kill Krishna, they want to curse Krishna, they want to blame Krishna for that. That's demons. What about pious people, like typical Hindu, pious, North Indian, whatever, right? So what is the mentality of a typical pious person? They also see hands of Krishna, but then they say that they have a list ready, give me a nice husband, give me a nice wife, give me a good job, because Krishna, everything happens because of you only. Ultimately, your hands are needed. So please use your hands and please give me a good job. Krishna, please use your hands and please give me, a good wife. So they are pious people see the hands of Krishna, but they are ready with the list of desires. Devotees, when they see hands of Krishna, they see loving hands of Krishna. That means they understand whatever is happening in their life, they see it as a very wonderful arrangement personally created by Krishna in their life to make them advance in Krishna consciousness. And they only thank Krishna for that. Neither they envy Krishna, nor they blame Krishna, nor they reject Krishna, nor they are ready with a list of desires. What do devotees do? Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness nicely under right guidance, what do when they see hands of Krishna? They don't only see the hands of Krishna, they see loving hands of Krishna in whatever happens in their life. For example, we know how when Vidura in Mahabharata, when Vidura was trying to give good advice to Dhritarashtra before the battle of Mahabharata, Duryodhan came and he chastised Vidur like anything. Hey, Dasi Putra, tu jai yaar, kaun tere ko idhar, what are you doing here? Get lost, nonsense, you son of a servant, And that was such harsh words. I mean, Vidura was elderly. Vidur was like Duryodhan's chacha, you know. What is that called here in Kannada? Chikappa, I think. Chikappa, you know. So, Vidur is Duryodhan's Chikappa, you know, but it was so insulting. Vidur felt bad, but immediately Vidur took it. Vidur saw Krishna's loving hands. Vidur took it as an opportunity to make spiritual advancement. Vidur went to a Tirth Yatra, right? And that was, you know, before Mahabharata battle. Similarly, when Parikshit was cursed by Shringi, again Parikshit saw Krishna's hands, right? So that is how devotees behave. They see Krishna's loving hands in whatever happens in their life. So with temple, in individuals, in material nature, and in events, we see Krishna everywhere. That's the essence of shloka number 19. And Krishna says in chapter 6, shloka 13, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sa chamena pranashyati. Krishna is telling, Yomam pashyati sarvatra, one who sees me everywhere. Sarvam chamai pashyati, and he sees me in everything. Tasyaham na pranashyami. For him, I am never lost, and sacha mena pranashyati. For me, he is never lost. Right? So such a Krishna is kind of putting the, you know, kind of the last nail in the sense that, you know, how Krishna is telling that that is the essence of advancement in Krishna consciousness, seeing everywhere. And Prabhupada then ends this section of 16 to 19 by saying that we can see Krishna either in this gigantic cosmic universal form as Vishwarup, or we can also see Krishna in Vrindavan as a two-handed, as in a two-handed Sham Sundar form playing flute in Vrindavan, which is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with this, I would like to end, but very quickly, let me summarize the 5 main things which we discussed today. The first main thing was in shloka number 16, where Prabhupada said that those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. That's the first main thing we saw, which was in verse number 16. In verse number 17, we saw how in every living entity also there is Krishna, and we have to learn to see Krishna in them. And therefore, every interaction is an opportunity to either give Krishna's love or receive Krishna's love. And in the same verse, we saw about Sakshi, that how Krishna is a witness, but Krishna is a witness not to catch us doing something wrong, but to coach us in doing something right. That's the third thing we saw. And the fourth thing which we saw was about the shelter wala verse, you know, wherein Krishna is, Prabhupada is telling that ultimately, directly or indirectly, everybody is approaching Krishna. And Prabhupada is telling one should directly approach Krishna because that will save time and energy. That's the fourth thing we saw. And finally, in shloka number 19, in the 19th verse, we saw about how we should learn to see Krishna everywhere. And we saw this acronym called time. With time, we learn to see Krishna in time, in temple, in individuals, in material nature, and in events. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful class. You gave so many examples from Prabhupada's life. I think we could not remember them. We have to go to recording again to remember them all. So that many examples. So if any devotees have questions, they can put in chat box or they can directly ask. So Prabhu, I have one question. This 9th chapter you are telling, it is about pure devotional service. But how then these shlokas are applicable to know the impersons? I'm not able to correlate that.
Yeah. So many times it is said that, it is not enough to just know something. It is also important to know. So it is not enough to know what it is. It is also needed to know what it is not. So similarly, to be able to appreciate pure devotional service, to be able to appreciate that, we have to do something direct. Krishna is actually talking about some indirect worshippers, till shloka number 25. Till shloka number 25, Krishna is talking about indirect worshippers. And then if you see 25 onwards, if you see shloka number 25 is, Nyanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitran Yanti Pitavitaha. Those who worship, these different people, they go to their planets. And then 26 onwards, what is shloka number 26? Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prachati. So then 26 onwards, Krishna is now directly focusing on pure devotion service. So the chapter is most confidential knowledge because it talks about pure devotion service. Does not mean that each and every shloka in this talks about pure devotion service. What it means is that Krishna is wanting to talk about pure devotion service here, but before talking about that, he's actually first talking about the indirect worshippers, the 3 kinds which we talked about: Ekatvena, Prathakvena, and Vishwato Mukham. Right? He's talking about those 3 so that we can all the more appreciate the importance of directly approaching Krishna and doing something directly. Right? So it does not mean every verse has to be pure devotion service. Some verses are to build the context and to create the need and the importance. And then 26 onwards, Krishna is talking about the pure devotion service here.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. So Swati Mataji has put on that fourth point. Could you please repeat? Directly approach Krishna.
1 second. Chat. Yeah, let me open the chat. Okay, Swati Mataji, fourth point. Could you please repeat? Directly approach Krishna. Which fourth point? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, this fourth point in the summary which I said. Okay, so this is in the verse number 18, Mataji. In shloka number 18, Prabhupada says that how, everybody's goal ultimately is Krishna. One may know it, one may not know it. One may directly approach, one may indirectly approach, and in that context, we also discussed that how it will not happen automatically. Even those who are approaching indirectly, they will not ultimately come to Krishna automatically. They have to one day or the other use their free will. So then in that context, Prabhupada writes, it's there quoted in Prabhupada's purport. One should directly approach Krishna because that will save time and energy. So, instead of trying to approach the demigods, or instead of trying to do this process or thought process, and in trying to do something indirect, Prabhupada is recommending that one should directly approach Krishna because that will save time and energy. And then Prabhupada gave the example of the stairs and the elevator. Like so Karma Yoga, then Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, then Dhyana Yoga, then, like that. So instead of that, one can directly take the elevator of Bhakti Yoga, because ultimately all these different yoga processes, they are incomplete if they don't culminate in Bhakti, right? And if anyway they have to culminate in Bhakti, and if Bhakti Yoga is anyway a process which has been given, which is the means as well as the goal. So therefore Bhakti Yoga is called, Bhakti is the means as well as the goal. What are we doing right now? Bhakti. And what we have to do eventually, what is the goal? To get Bhakti. So means as the goal. So Prabhupada is telling in that spirit, one should directly approach Krishna because that will save time and energy. Why to go indirect? And Krishna is also confirming in Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate, that ultimately after many lives, one has to come to the point of surrendering to Krishna, and that is Bhakti. Does that clarify, Mataji?
Yes, I think
so. What about Guru Parampara? Oh, sorry. No. So the point, the purpose of the meaning of directly approaching Krishna here is not to kind of say that bypass Guru, bypass everything and directly approach Krishna. No. That's not the point. The point is to contrast it with indirectly approaching Krishna by doing Karma Yoga, by doing Dhyana Yoga, by doing Jnana Yoga, or by approaching demigods. In that sense, that is what is being contrasted here. That instead of, doing all the yagyas, instead of, approaching demigods, instead of doing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, instead of that, what you should do? You should do Bhakti Yoga directly approach Krishna. Now, what is the process of Bhakti Yoga? You cannot approach Krishna directly. You have to approach Krishna through the Guru. That's a detail. But here Prabhupada is not talking about that detail. Here he is talking about contrasting between other things versus Krishna Bhakti. Right? Now in the Krishna Bhakti, the process is that, you can get Krishna only by one who has Krishna. You can't directly approach Krishna. So that's a different meaning of directly approaching Krishna. That's about getting into details of, okay, now I have understood I should serve Krishna. How to serve Krishna? You have to serve Krishna through his devotees, right? But the point here being made is that we should serve Krishna and, not indirectly. Yeah, that's the point, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. But good that you brought that point up. Any other comments, suggestions, questions?
So, Saubhagya Mataji, you have lifted your hand. Do you have any questions? Yeah, I think that is by mistake. So thank you, Prabhu. We'll stop here taking questions. So let's all chant one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra for Prabhu's spiritual growth. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, devotees, for joining. So we have one important announcement that I request all the devotees who have taken the books, they can either transfer the Lakshmi, whatever books they have taken, to Vijay Prabhu, or if they have any books remaining, they can return also. That is also not a problem. They can return and settle the account. So we have to settle the account by next week. So we'll publish the date where Vijay Prabhu will be available in the center, or me or Saran Prabhu will be available in the center. So by that time you can return, or anybody want to keep the books, they can keep and transfer the Lakshmi to Vijay Prabhu. So please do it as soon as possible, so that we can settle the books account. So this is for only who have taken the book on their name. Yeah, so that's it for this week. So please join next week also. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all devotees.
Thank you. Aparaji Prabhu, are we meeting here or?
Yes, sir. We will disconnect and connect.
Okay.
Gauranga Prabhu, I think you have the host access. You can end the meeting, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, I'll end the meeting. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to everyone.